really excited and elated to host this webinar on careers post-COVID-19. And the coolest part of this webinar is that this is really articulated by our impressive set of alumni. We have tried bringing in the panel, which is very poised, and the alumni are the expert recruiters to the achieving entrepreneurs and die-hard corporate experts. And this is stretching 10 to 17 years after they graduated, and they are on their successful journeys now, not only in markets in India, but US. So my name is Ruchi Shah, and I'm professor in the area of sales and marketing. With 11 years of corporate experience before I joined IILM, I strongly believe in executing smaller things in a bigger way. So I'm very delighted to introduce our first alumni here with us, Sarthak Seth. Sarthak Seth is an alumni from batch 2001-2003, and he is currently the Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer with Tata Realty and Infrastructure. And that's long back, 17 years. Sarthak, I know him since the time he was in Panasonic, and he was heading the India and the South Asia markets as a chief marketing officer. And I really found him to be a very, very humble and responsible human being. Thank you so much, Sarthak, for being with us today. And next we have Abhinav Tandia, who is our alumni from class of 2008. He is the Chief Executive Officer of a company called Shapera Pharma Private Limited, a guy with a strong business sense, an entrepreneur by heart and an entrepreneur by mind. Thank you so much and welcome, Abhinav, once again. And a third alumni is Archie Gautam. She graduated IILM when I just joined in 10 years back. Thank you so much, Archie, for being here with us. And I must really thank you well, because you are live from New Jersey, and I understand it's midnight over there. Archie is a technical recruiter at Signature Consultants on-site Google, and she's a seasoned professional recruiter and a very social and humble human being. An institution's asset is in, and the equity lies in its alumni pool. IILM is really very appreciative to look at its alumni standing at and spearheading the top notches. We would be delighted to hear out your stories, your milestones achieved, and the kind of decisions you embraced among all that ambiguity you saw in front of you. And here we start off with Sarthak. Sarthak, over to you to hear out your unforgettable happy story.
Well, thank you, Ruchi. Thank you for, I would say, a good introduction of mine, and really putting me across to all the students, and welcome to the students as well. And it's really good to be back to the campus, I would say, because the way I look forward is this is a campus for us right now, the way we are doing our Zoom meetings over here. So before I actually get into my, I would say, the journey as a corporate individual, it literally took me some time to really look into myself and say that, okay, what should I be sharing with you all? So whether it is about the journey or whether it is about some of the what as an individual or as a corporate individual I have followed throughout my life. So what I did was I actually put together some few pointers for each one of you to be reflecting that, okay, on my entire professional journey. Let me just quickly share my screen with you.
Yeah.
I hope it is visible. So while we speak from the perspective of the story, I would say the first thing which depicts over here is it's like I had been an average student throughout my life till about my 12th standard, I can say. After that, God willingly, I had been like achieving quite a lot from my career perspective in terms of, I would say as a student, I got my scholarships. I was standing amongst top 2 or 3 students. But what was more important was that, like every student, I had a lot of things, a lot of ideas, and it was all about that, okay, what I have to do next. So it was all together. It's like once you have graduated, the next big leap is that, okay, from the college life to the corporate life, and what sort of principles one really has to look forward to while you talk from a corporate life perspective. And most important thing, what I really looked on was some of these principles, which I'm actually going to share with you. And I'll just quickly give certain examples when I say, so the most important thing for each one of us is we have to define our goals. Now, when you speak from a goals perspective, whether it is long term, short term, but you have to have that sense, that clarity within yourself, what exactly you want to do. And I believe defining goals is also important because that will also help you in terms of stepping back and seeing that, okay, were you able to achieve it or not? If you have not achieved it, how you are doing course correction and everything. So my first goal while I was even a student was that, okay, what sort of internships I should really look onto. And thankfully, I believe I got a couple of internships. One was at Coke and one was at LG. And while I had my internships, I finally chose LG to actually went ahead with my internship. And while doing my internship, another goal which I actually set for myself was, can I really get through LG itself? Because I was actually at the Jaipur campus. So guys who are still, I would say, in the metros, they still have a better exposure to the corporate world. For me, it was not so much. So for me, that was that, okay, can I really look forward and get my placement through LG, which I believe I was able to. And as soon as I passed out, I got my recruitments with LG. While being a part of LG, for me as an individual, I said that okay, within the corporate environment, what is the next important thing? Can I really differentiate myself from my peer group? When I say differentiate yourself, obviously there is a competition, there is a competitive rivalry also, because everywhere you go, you are going to be a part of, I would say, a batch of 15, 20 as a management trainee, but still you have to really create your mark. You have to set aside your differentiations while you're doing your work, while you're executing your work. But along with differentiation, the most important thing is, I would say these three things are the most important parts, which is common sense. Believe me, common sense is the most easiest or the most heard word uh, amongst everyone, but this is the most rarest thing you'll actually find. So whatever things you are doing, please do it with common sense and just apply to everyday theory. Another important thing is analytics. Guys, you have to be number crazy. Whether you are in HR, whether you are in marketing, brand, business analytics, whatever, analytics is most important. Numbers really drive everything for you. And whatsoever things you are doing, even while you're studying, just emphasize on the numbers, because that is really going to take you places. If you know your numbers well, if you know how to dissect your numbers, how to arrive onto conclusions, it really makes a lot of difference. Decision making, I would say it's like again, it is one key important thing. A lot of people, they might be excellent executioners, but once it comes to decision making, a lot of people really give it up, or they just cannot say that, okay, if it is not going well, then they might say that, okay, what to do. But again, as an individual, as a corporate professional, you have to take your decisions. That's the most important thing. When we talk from a decision-making perspective, I'll just give you a very small example over here, because Ruchi told me that, okay, at least give some examples. Long journey of 17 odd years, and I would say I've not even about 17 minutes to actually share. But so one of the key turning moments for me was while being a part of LG. I said that, okay, I still remember 2004-05 was the time when we had this India team touring Pakistan. And it was almost about after 18 odd years, and still give you that example that, okay, we actually at LGV said that, okay, let's create a marketing campaign. I took that campaign. So that time I was a part of branch operations, and I took that campaign to the next level, wherein we actually created a Guinness record in terms of having 1.5 odd kilometers lengthy banner, wherein having all those good wishes to the Indian team. So unfortunately, that was not registered in the records, because we were not able to pass on that banner, because it was much difficult for us to do that. But somewhere it was like that, okay, taking small steps, taking small decisions, going out of the way and doing things can really help you in terms of achieving something big. And I would say I actually was able to fulfill my journey when I came into Panasonic, and we actually created a Guinness record, which was again while we partnered along with the Delhi Daredevils team, and still that record is registered as the biggest seed paper mosaic. So we actually had eco ideas as a theme, and we actually uh, created some wonders out of that. But again, the thing is, small decisions, you take it onto you. You say that, okay, I want to drive it, and it can really give you that drive into your entire career as an individual per se. Moving forward, I would say another important thing is you really have to constantly upgrade yourself. You just cannot say that, okay, I have arrived. And in today's world, I would say content is the king. And when I say content is the king, and why you have to upgrade yourself, because it's a very fast changing world. So guys, 2 decades back, where I was, or how the environment was, it has completely changed. And now that pace has actually been much faster today. I would say things are changing every 2 or 3 years henceforth. So you really have to keep on upgrading yourself, and then you have to keep on building your content. And another small example I can say, it's like while I did my first MBA with IILM, later on I realized that, okay, if I have to be like competing with the global peers, I really need to upscale my knowledge set also, and that is where I actually enrolled myself into a global MBA program. So that also helped me in terms of looking out to the world with a different lens altogether, creating a lot of networking for myself, and also in the same time really upgrade my skill set not only from a marketeer perspective, but even a lot to do from a human aspect as well. uh, Consistency is the key. I believe you just cannot say that, okay, I've done one good thing in life, and this is where I am. I would say every day you have to be consistent. So whether you might have achieved something in month one, but are you able to achieve the same thing in the month 12 or the month one of the next year also? This is something which is very important for us as individuals, for us as corporate guys. And while you are at your colleges also, I would say the sort of scores what you are able to achieve in your studies, you have to be consistent, because if the consistency is not there, believe me, it is much easier to reach at the top, but to retain that position is the most difficult part. So that is where you really have to be consistent. So I believe my entire corporate journey, I can say that I have been pretty consistent guy in terms of my ratings, rankings, whatever we say. But the way I always looked onto was that, okay, how I can be consistent in terms of my delivery. And later on, when I even became a manager, today I've got a big team with me. But this is my key mantra to my entire team also, that guys, whatever we do, we have to be consistent. Otherwise, the competition can outrank us anytime. Uh, you really have to be adaptive, and I would say it's like the agility in you, because agility is something. It's the ever-changing scenario, the way I said. And today, who was even aware of that? Okay, almost 2.5 months back, this sort of situation would be there. So now you would have been hearing it's the new normal. This is the most common trend, or the most common lingo which is being spoken about. So if we have to adapt ourselves in these last 2.5 months as individuals, as corporates, as entrepreneurs, I would say this really becomes the most important thing in terms of setting yourself right going forward into your careers as individuals. Whatever we are doing, we really have to be adaptive. We really have to be agile. A small example over here, it's like while I was in 3 to 4 years of my career in LG, I actually got chance to work internationally also. And I went to Korea to actually work at the global headquarters. So I realized over there, it's like the things are very different. The culture is much different. So how I can become a part of that culture, how I can actually adapt to their ways of working, to their speed. So once you do that, once you are so much adaptive, so much agile, so somewhere you'll able to carve your path. Moving from a Korean culture to a Japanese culture, from a LG to a Panasonic, it was again a story of being adaptive. I would say it's like though there are certain strongholds while working into a Korean culture, but there were other strongholds being into a part of the Japanese culture. So you really have to create that shift into your mindset also. You just cannot say that, okay, this is what I have learned. This is something what I have learned from my college. Now, while I'm getting into a corporate, I just cannot change it. Or now for me, it is like I've just shifted my career from, I would say, consumer durables and electronics into real estate. So again, it's the story of being adaptive, being agile. So this is another important thing. And I think just to also compliment my fellow panelists over here, because I think I've spoken quite a lot of points over here. And Abhinav and Archie would be saying that, okay, Sarthak, you need to leave something for us also to share, and they have got their own stories. But Abhinav, Archie, I've just got two more points to actually sum up my mantras. I would say you have to look out for new. Guys, if you don't look out for new, uh, it's the dead end for anyone. When I say you have to look out for new, you have to really look out for new challenges for yourself. You have to look out for new profiles within your organization. You have to look out for new challenges within the role what you are actually doing. So it also comes from the perspective that, okay, if you're not looking for new, which means somewhere you are stagnant. And stagnancy is not the way forward at all. And be your own brand. So being a marketer, I would say the first, or rather the second point, which is differentiate yourself, to the seventh point, be your own brand. So if you actually sum up everything, it actually culminates into that, okay, how as an individual you are able to create yourself as your own brand, because this is the tag what you are even going to carry within your institutes. Uh, Even I would say, even if I have to step back and say into your personal lives, throughout how your relatives are able to see yourself, it's your own branding, how people are actually seeing you. And moving into the corporate world, what exact things you have actually been doing, because it is not about one workplace what you are working, it is about throughout your entire professional journey of 25, 30 odd years. So if you are able to set aside yourself and create your own brand, people would really start saying that, okay, this guy actually brings in these things to me. So while the thing was that, okay, narrate your story, or say your story, I would say these 6 or 7 guiding principles were able to define my story for myself. There are a lot of examples what I could have shared, but I thought it is better for me to actually say that, okay, what have been those underlining 6, 7 principles which actually helps to define your story. And I would actually sum it up over here, Ruchi, with the statement of your life is your story. So this is my story. You have to create your own story. You have to write it well. And believe me, while you're writing it, you really have to edit often. So when I say edit often, so probably, and I would say Abhinav would be the right example once I pass it on to him, because he's from the entrepreneur world. He would say that, okay, what he would have thought one day, the next day he would have said to himself that, okay, no, guys, this is not working. I have to actually change. I have to edit it. So there is no common mantra of saying that, okay, things are going to be the way you have thought about it. Things are going to be very smooth. No, it is never smooth for anyone. You really have to edit often. So while you are editing it, you are actually writing it more in a better manner. So Ruchi, I'm going to sum it up over here, because
Yeah.
we have got a time restriction. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sarthak. And it was really impressive. Impressive. And it was very, it was outlined and still it so well. One can't ignore the underlying facts, everything you said it. And believe me, I liked common sense out of it very prominently. And also consistency, because what you were last year, you definitely have to be evolving each year. And I really appreciate that. I haven't seen you really exchanging this much, ever. I'm really, really happy to see you doing it here for all our audience, for whom it really holds utmost importance. So over to you, Abhinav, and the way Sarthak was mentioning that what had you thought about one day when you joined an MBA program and today when you become the CEO of your own company. So please go ahead. Thank you.
I think Sarthak did cover a lot of ground, Sarthak. So kudos to you. I think this is a a good platform for us to share our stories. Good, bad, we'll let the audience decide. But I'm sure that as some of you students are looking at it, you'll be able to draw parallels with some of what we will share and what we are sharing. So I enrolled in the MBA batch of 2006 and 8 as a background, which I now not share often. I belong to a family of jewelers. We've been in this business for like maybe 150 or 200 years. And as I got into the program, I was reasonably sure what I wanted to do in life. I mean, I had some startup ideas in the business for myself, and I thought that getting a postgraduate diploma in learning how to manage business would enforce what I have learned outside the program. I did my internship with a company in Pune called Syed Vantium, and the scientific head of that company is a gentleman called Dr. Sandeep Dugar. And I got a good opportunity to work pretty closely with him. And as I was completing my MBA program, he reached out to me and said that I'm starting something new. I have nothing. Would you want to join? So at that level, the entrepreneurial bug bit me. Let's just say that, and I decided to leave my comfort zone and take it as a learning curve. It was clear in my head that I'd do it for a year or two, and then probably pivot back. Okay. The reason why I'm sharing this with you is that it's amazing how we make plans for life, but there is a larger plan at play. How it pans out, nobody knows. That's why in life, and just to put a contrarian perspective to what Sarthik was saying earlier, you need to define goals. Absolutely correct. But also, you need to allow for a little bit of flux. You need to define boundaries of where you would broadly operate. Every now and then, when you go out of those boundaries, you whip it back into shape. But largely enough, you need to allow for flux because life is not a straight path. There will always be movements around. So we started this entity, and as we were going out to raise private equity capital, the subprime crisis hit the U.S. and there was a global sell-off. Okay, amidst this, we were able to secure private equity funding for this drug discovery venture, and it's been a very interesting space for us since then. We have created a fully integrated drug discovery and development unit. The concept of Sphera has always been global and collaborative in nature because akin to launching a spacecraft out there, you would draw a lot of parallels in drug discovery. It is not to be trivialized how complex the human body is, and to be able to design a molecule that would go in, do its job, and without harming any other organs or biological systems inside us will get out, just as you design it to be. It's a tough ask, and drug discovery is one of the most complex and concerted, synchronized endeavors that you'd come across in terms of what we do here. So my story has been that since 2008, I took a bet on the innovation component. We created Sphera. We have over 80 issued patents globally. We don't advertise ourselves much because we do believe in your work speaks louder than what you can shout. And it's been an interesting journey because along the way I've also started a few other companies, one of which I've already shut down. It was in Hyderabad. But that's the entrepreneurial play at things, that you'll realize some things click, some things don't. You need to be able to look at every new day in that spirit. You need to be able to say that what have I learned, and failure is not a bad word. Failure is a learning curve. So as I narrate further, and there are different sections to this conversation, so we'll come back to that. But I want you all to think about this, that there is an element of entrepreneurial activity that would be required in corporate life also post COVID. Okay, companies are really reorienting how they work, large and small corporates alike, and it is going to be very important that we as individuals, as professionals, as workhorses, as ideators, we are able to pivot on a dime. And that phrase is just 4 words, but it captures a lot of meaning. If you are able to make changes on the fly, it is a innate attribute that's going to become increasingly relevant. And the like Sarthak also mentioned earlier in his chat, that nobody knew that the global economies would be hit by something reasonably close to a ordinary flu, but the impact that it has had on global economies has been devastating. It has forced companies, forced individuals to adopt new ways, digital mediums being one. And a lot of senior professionals have very successfully adapted themselves to this new way of working. And the challenge for some of you who are maybe right now in the program and who'll be graduating soon is that what others have had to do over 10 years, you have to step into the corporate life with that tool up your sleeves, is that you need to be agile, you need to be adaptive. That's what the new work life is going to be demanding. So that's my background, and I hope to share more with you guys as we go forward on this chat. Archie, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Abhinav, for the same. And I see really the fire of being an entrepreneur, in you, and the innovation flows in you. It really seems when you talk about that. Thank you so much for making us understand that we have fixed boundaries, but we must know how to be flexible and adapt ourselves that way. Thank you so much. And yes, Archie, over to you now.
Thanks, Richie. Are you able to hear me all right?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Well, first of all, I do want to thank you for such a warm introduction. And even though we've never met each other, but I always feel like a warm feeling coming from you. It just takes me back to my IILM days. So thank you so much. And first and foremost, I hope for all our fellow joiners today, I hope all of you and your loved ones are all doing okay. I know and I acknowledge these are not very simple times, and we really appreciate you guys joining us today and learning from us. Um, Going back to my story, I joined IILM. I was a 2008-2010 batch, right after Abhinav graduated, probably. Um, and yeah, like my undergrad was entirely in a very different subject. I was a Delhi University undergrad in life sciences. And once I graduated, I always wanted to go into biotechnology. That was trending at that time, and I definitely wanted to do something in that direction. And it just felt like, once I graduated, I was sitting with my dad, chatting through, and I just asked him, "What am I good at, Dad? I really want to know, like, which direction should I go, where I would really do well, And it's not just me who have felt this way. There are a lot of students who really lack that direction, and you really need to have somebody in your life who you really trust, who you feel that they're the ones who are going to give you a genuine advice and who know you really well. So my dad was one of them, and he told me, it was funny enough, he told me, "Archie, I think you're really good at talking, and you should choose a career where you get an opportunity to interact with people, and I think you are just good as a people person." And I really took that very seriously, and I thought, okay, maybe I should get into a business school and probably get into HR. So that's where my interest towards HR aligned. And in HR, while going through my MBA phase, I wanted to do something in learning and development. Presenting screens, talking to people, helping them learn soft skills, etc., really sounded like a fun idea to me. And I was lucky enough to get an internship at Sona Koyo in Gurgaon. It's a partner company to Maruti, and they provide steering wheels. And I was lucky enough to get into learning and development, training with them, and learned how they make training schedules and modules, and a lot of theoretical stuff that I learned during my internship. And as Abhinav was mentioning, 2010 wasn't the best phases of graduating. It almost felt like how you guys feel during these times. It was, we were literally just about recovering from recession. I was as nervous as anybody here today is feeling. I felt like maybe it's not the right time to graduate. Maybe I would not have enough opportunities. But trust me, guys, um, there's never a scarcity of great students. You're going to find your way, and so did I started my journey with Kelly Services, and they offered me a recruiting role, whereas my interest was more towards learning and development. I took it. um, I didn't know what I was doing to begin with, and I'm just being honest, because it's important for you guys to know that you might see us as experts in today's world, but 10 years down the line, 10 years ago, even we were in dilemma. And it's absolutely okay to be taking risks
Yep.
at that time. So I took that risk, and realized, wow, recruiting seems so much fun. It felt really nice when candidates would genuinely thank you for providing that opportunity to them. And that's where my career began. I was then, asked to join one of Kelly Services' client, Global Logic. Worked there in the recruiting, in tech recruiting for 2 years, and then joined Sapient Nitro here in Gurgaon, and was there for about 2.5 years. And all my experience was in technology recruiting. Loved it thoroughly. And then probably life happened again. And my parents found a guy who was working in the US, and things really took quite a swing, because whereas I was happy to have found my life partner, but at the same time, where my career was taking, I had absolutely very limited understanding of it. I had never been to US prior to getting married, so there were a lot of questions as to what I'm going to do. But deep down inside, guys, I always knew that I'm going to find my path, because I was clear that I belong and that I can do it. And I joined here at a startup. It was a great idea. I learned about the US market and in recruiting world, and worked for a couple of startups before I got awesome opportunity to work at Morgan Stanley in their technology recruiting world. Absolutely amazing experience here at Times Square, New York. And back of my mind, my love was in tech industry. I always wanted to stick to tech. And so that really pulled me towards joining Signature Consultants, and I'm on site here at Google for about a year now. Yeah, it's been a fantastic journey, 10 years into technology recruiting, learned a lot. Besides that, I also am a professional coach and mentor for a lot of young grads, from Ivy Leagues here in the US, and I help them understand the importance of social media existence. How you should be presenting yourself on LinkedIn, how you should be even performing yourself on social media platforms like Twitter, what you should be posting, how you want to be representing yourself as a brand. All those aspects are so, so important, and more to come on that in following questions that Ruchi would post. But yeah, that is my short and sweet story. Thanks, Ruchi.
Great. Thank you so much, Archie. And I understand because of the way you are meticulous, I understand that why we required so much vetting before and a final approval from you. That's great. Another thing which really surprises me, that how you took the swing from life sciences to a technical recruitment with everything, getting it in the right direction, and how your dad really helped you out in building up this success story for yourself. Thank you so much for that. And I would like to re-mention that right decisions, what Sarthak also reinforced, helped you here as well. All right, I
Absolutely.
just put across my next question. And this question of mine also combines an audience question, this question talks about the COVID, which has really turned the tables. The market looks disrupted for the good and for the bad. And each MBA aspirant and a potential MBA guy, or a guy who is about to get his job immediately, holds this question at his heart. It's heart throbbing, in fact, that how COVID is going to impact his career, and how he will be able to really, what will happen to the jobs on floor, which sectors are going to get the job openings, and what will be the best to take forward. So this question is also a combined question of the audience, as I said, and I bring in again Sarthak here to respond to this question first. Thank you.
All right. So it has one, Ruchi, I would say, great stories of Abhinav and Archie. And one thing, but what I just like to add upon to those stories, and to the, I would say, the young graduates also, communication skills really are very important. And I would say do focus on those skills, because now in these tough times, it's not going to be so much of interaction face to face. Rather, the interaction is actually going to be on such digital mediums like a Zoom or any other platform. So I would say communication skill is really one of the keys. Going on to your subject of the COVID part, I think, Ruchi, so there is like a couple of slides I've
Yeah.
done as well. And so, so I would say it's like careers post-COVID was one important thing what we are deliberating today. What is COVID, and what exactly it is? I would say the new thing, which is the new normal, and you really have to embrace it. While we say that, okay, we have to embrace it, I think there are these three words which comes to everybody right now, that what is the new normal, and it is safety, security, and skill set. That is coming to everybody's mindset. But if I have to just go a bit further, I would say it is not only in the field of the career or the service. Across the platforms, everybody is trying to look onto these three aspects. And with the new normal, what is security right now, or safety or skill set? So it's just a couple of words which actually define a security. It is the economic security, which really is important today, because we have been seeing that, okay, there's a lot of retrenchments, or there's a lot of job cuts or salary cuts which are actually happening. So people are really worrying in terms of the economic security, because we still don't know that when it is going to be the normal, or what exactly the new normal is going to define for each one of us. From a safety perspective, it is not only the physical safety. I would say it is also the mental safety, because each one of us has got certain responsibilities, and the mental safety really plays a very important thing. And the mindset of individuals really have to be, I would say, much positive during these tough times also. And skill set, again, the thing is, the entire thing of agility, when I have to say, really comes over here in terms of that, okay, you really have to be adaptive, you really have to upgrade yourself, and you really have to understand that, okay, what sort of skill set is required. So while these three things, or these three pointers, I just wanted to deliberate or to share with our audience today. But when we get on to the next step, which is the fields which are actually booming post-COVID, and believe me, these are common fields what you can find across industries. So it is not limited to one industry as such.
Yeah.
So data science. So while I talk from a data science perspective, it is not something which is like a buzzword for a IT company only today. FMCG also is looking into data science. FMCD is also looking into it, and any other, even a pharmaceutical today is talking about data science. Uh, Cloud. When I say cloud, I believe this is the next home for all of us. So it's like we really don't know where exactly the home is in cloud, but this is where the data is entirely residing for each of the organizations. So cloud is something in terms of, if you can really look in terms of understanding how this entire piece of data is working. This is another important thing. Cybersecurity, because it's like today we are having these classroom sessions over here. So how much is cybersecurity important? And again, it cuts across sectors. So it is not something which is like only restrictive to IT sector only. Cybersecurity cuts across sectors, across industries. Uh, going to industry specific. So some of these things, it's like we know that okay, learning cannot stop. And I would say online schooling or online learning is another important area, which I would say the best example I can give you right now is, if I can say, is a brand called Byju's. So Byju's is the only brand in the last 2 months of whom I have actually seen front ads in Times of India, at least 20 of them in the last 60 odd days. So which means we can really look onto in terms of how much online learning is really prospering right now. So there are a lot of other brands which are now focusing quite a lot onto the online learning aspect as well. Digital marketing. So the marketing has actually taken a big shift. So we had been talking about digital marketing, I would say since about 2008-9. That okay, digital marketing is going to come up slowly and gradually. So I still remember back in 2012, not even 2 or 3% of the total marketing spends, my marketing spends, I used to invest into digital marketing. And then that time, digital marketing was much restrictive in terms of a bit of Google SEO or your website itself. Digital marketing is it has expanded like anything. It is not only Google or the SEOs. It is influencer marketing. It is I would say performance marketing, because today everything is linked to performance. And I would also go back to my initial words when I actually said that okay, analytics. Why analytics play such an important role with digital marketing? You have got complete thing in terms of you can really dissect the big data. You know how you are performing, and people are, that is why people are adapting more and more towards digital marketing. Also from the aspect, because there you can really go into geo targeting. You can really know, if you know your audience, you know how to reach to your audience as well. So I would say digital marketing helps you in terms of reducing the pilferage, in terms of you only reach out to the audience which is important to you. You are not reaching out to the audience which is not making any sense for you. So so if people are really looking to marketing as their career, I would say digital marketing really plays a very important role. You should really see that okay, how you can enhance your skills in digital marketing. There are various aspects of digital marketing. Probably that can be one session I would always be happy to take later on sometime. And again, business analytics. So everything goes down to numbers. So don't get confused with a data science to a business analytics. So data science is on the side of data. However, business analytics is all about how you are able to understand that okay, what sort of things in your business is actually going to work for you. How you can really course correct your business needs and requirements and say that okay, this is what we have to really get into. So I would say these 5 or 6 top fields are actually there, which are booming right now, and because most of the things are actually being compressed uh, over here on probably I would say, if I have to use a term, कि हमारी सबकी दुकान आज हमारा laptop है. So it is, everything is right there, in terms of your screen, which is there in front of us, and this is where we are. So I have to really say that these 6 fields is something what the students can really look forward to. And this is not industry agnostic. This is something which is open across industry. So you don't have to say that, okay, if I'm going to be in a FMCG, this is not visible. It is predominantly visible. If I have to speak from a realty background, I would say most of these things really work into the realty space also. So this is something I have to say, Ruchi, in terms of top 5, 6 trends which are which we believe is actually emerging post COVID.
Great, thank you, Sarthak. And I would like Abhinav to add on to this, please.
Yes, as with the earlier times, Arthik, I think you touched on all the right notes. So um, I think everybody is putting their 2 cents onto this in terms of what we feel will be the evolving scenario. I believe
Right.
that as professionals that are getting ready for corporates, SMEs, entrepreneurial, whatever your journey is, as you're getting ready, some of the well established concepts have to be revisited. For example, there has always been this debate of should you be ready to wear multiple hats? Is a jack of all trades better, or you got to be master of one? I'd say that in order to make yourself increasingly relevant and less disposable, be ready to wear multiple hats. There's nothing wrong in it. And these are some parallels that one can draw from the entrepreneurial perspective. You have to start looking at, no matter what's the size of the corporates, every department is going to face the heat. Every budget will get its fair share of cut. I understand the proportions would be different, but pressures would be there across the board. Travel. We have the modern corporate world has been so used to travel. I used to travel 6 to 8 times a month for manufacturing and other drug discovery related projects. That has to change. For the last 2.5 months, we have not traveled even once. But I realized that I'm able to get a lot of the things still going on. You know, just because we were used to a format, now all our other ancillaries have also been used to this no travel, no physical meetings kind of a workplace. And people are adapting to it. You know, I mean, if you're on a Zoom call and a kid runs by behind you, it's okay. One
Yeah.
of the things that I've observed is that, and I'm going to be gender specific here. Women had to face a lot of career disruptions, particularly as they go along. You know, I mean, some of my friends, colleagues, they've had to drop out for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months to prioritize one thing over the other. Hey, that's changing. Okay, some of these changes are very positive. It puts the not so fair agenda on the blog, because as men we are not as naturally attuned to multitasking than women are, and this is something that we have to learn. Okay, if my I've got 2 daughters, and as they run into the room I get distracted very easily. So I'm now learning how I should get less distracted and continue to focus on my work. So these are the things that are changing. Sectors like pharmaceuticals, healthcare, life sciences, they are going to be extremely heavy over the next few years, because this is not the end of it. The virus world, this is just one of what we've exposed. The virus world is
Yeah.
huge, and we I've been talking to a lot of collaborators across the globe. And from an India point of view, there is a China import substitution strategy that the government has been planning. So, as you look out for sectors, as you look out for companies and opportunities, keep that in mind, that there will be some businesses that will be preparing themselves to either do backward or forward integration and reduce their dependence on China. Okay, we've been talking about a lot of things for forever. You know, like Sarthak mentioned, digital is something that's been around the block for 10 years. But what COVID has done is it has accelerated some of these transitions. It has accelerated the pace at which we need to change to it. Okay, it's now. You can't defer it anymore, because hey, you can't put up a board a hoarding which would be as relevant as it was 5 months ago. The other thing that I'm going to suggest is we should, as you step in into any role, give yourself some time. Okay, there is a natural tendency that we make a switch for incremental gains, and earlier it was probably a good strategy. But now, if you join an organization, spend some time there, learn the tricks of that trade well, like some of the other colleagues have mentioned, get into their other departments, learn the broader scope of work. Even as corporate professionals, you need to carry your entrepreneurial hat all the time. Learn things, make yourselves more relevant, less dispensable, and that should be it. The other thing that I would on this section that I just want to leave my last thought on is we have a situation where the work from home is the new normal, but I really like something that I read, and I'll quote. Um, Remember that work is intruding in home. It's not the other way around. Okay. So as you go about fulfilling your corporate obligations, your work life balances should not be compromised. Okay. The intrusion is from the work, the home stays. So as you step into this, keep that in mind. I know you guys are all pepped up to put in hard work and all, and embrace these changes. You'll hear adaptability and agility probably 500 times more during the rest of the chat, but that's because it is that important. Okay. It's really important. Be ready to make the changes, and you'll find yourselves not only safe, but on a good trajectory in your career path.
Thank you so much, Abhinav. And I see you really welcoming changes and adapting it very quick. And virtual remains the common thread between Sarthak and what you mentioned, growing from individual to realizing that you have to fit yourself in multiple ways, and that too very with the dexterity and the astuteness. So I really respect that. Moving to Archie, and then I'll just combine my next couple of questions because we understand that the Sarthak is a board meeting, and we are timed, and we will try doing it quickly. Yes, over to you, Archie. Thank you.
Thanks, Ruchi, and thanks, Sarthak and Abhinav. You guys really put in good pointers there. Yes, I totally agree. Change is the only constant, be it pre-COVID, post-COVID, during COVID times. Changes always have brought opportunities as well, right? Just elaborating a little bit more on technology and how I feel that technology is one sector that has always been in at the forefront, and I would totally say that it is going to be at the forefront even during COVID and post-COVID times as well. Just giving some examples from 10 years ago when I started working at Kelly, I remember rain or shine, we were in the office. And now seeing how technology has brought into existence a lot of work-life balance also. And during COVID times, and as Abhinav was saying, it's a new norm. Um, Corporations are going to be heavily investing in building robust infrastructure and bringing in the right technology. So that is one area that we all should definitely focus on. There would be a lot of good opportunities opening up in this area. And also, just look at the kids around. One of my friend's son is 6, and I was talking to him, and he told me that he chats with his friend on Zoom because their schools arranges Zoom sessions, and he's just 6. So definitely, technology is impacting every stage and age in our lives these days. Also considering COVID impacts, another major sector that has always been amongst top 3 and shall continue even more is the healthcare industry, excuse me. And I think, seeing that, the world wasn't really very prepared for this major virus that has hit, unfortunately, I feel that healthcare industry is going to invest heavily in making sure that how we overcome such issues in the future. And so, again, a lot of opportunities there to tap. And I think Abhinav would vouch for that. Startups. People nowadays are much more risk takers. They're bold, adventurous, and opportunistic. I come from a very middle class family, and back in the days, I was very scared of taking the risk and joining the startup. But, uh, I have seen like having a good concept, you definitely get a lot of venture capitalists ready to provide funding for the right kind of ideas. And startup ecosystem is very, very well robust these days. So definitely, guys, one advice would be that if you do get an opportunity to join a startup, never be hesitant as to what your paycheck would look like, or if that'll be stable enough or not. I definitely feel this is one area that is giving a huge competition to even big corporations. So definitely startup is one area that has been evolving so much. And I think, yeah, with COVID, there are a lot of good opportunities that are coming up, and a lot of startups that are going to think about a lot of things to solve problems.
Thank you, Archie. And Abhinav is actually, I see him feeling so happy because pharmaceuticals and die-hard combination, and he could have all the happiness around that. And I am also very aligned with your time wall clock, right? It tells me how we are timed, how we are moving, and a very good, yeah, very good and last question without, repeating and duping whatever we have said. One suggestion, when you see the markets are rejigging, a student is aspiring to get the right career fit, how do you just give him a suggestion to really alleviate his ambiguity and steer it right? So that's the
Yeah.
last question from my side, and then we may quickly wrap up. Yeah. So Sarthak, you may please go ahead with that.
All right, Ruchi. So if I have to, so it's like the webinar said, I would say core skill set right now is only agility. It's like you really have to know to adapt. You should know that okay, whatever you are in, you have to embrace it, and you just have to be positive and keep a move on. The last set of lines which I would say is this is most important throughout my career. I would always say that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. So, and then believe me, I'm together in it. So it is life begins at the end of our comfort zone, the way I would say it. So you just cannot say that, okay, you just have arrived and then you're going to be as comfortable as ever. And that is why whatever said and done historically, it is all about being adaptive, being agile, embracing it, and just move on. So this is something what I will actually have to sum up with. Uh, as you know, I just have to step out because I've got another meeting which is scheduled right at 12.
Yeah.
So I would just like to thank you for the opportunity in terms of having this opportunity to interact with students. Probably I would be able to drive one or two positive changes amongst at least one of the students, because I came to know that close to about 300 plus students are engaged with us as of now. So guys, wish you all the very best, and you can always reach out to me, and then you can have my coordinates later on from Ruchi if you want any suggestions, guidance as far as your corporate careers are concerned, or the way you are wanting to step into the corporate career. So thank you, Ruchi, once again, and thank you, Abhinav and Archie. It was really nice interacting with you guys also. Wish you all the
Thanks,
best.
Sarthak. All the best.
Thanks, Sarthak.
Yes, Abhinav, over to you now.
All right, so I'll keep my, I've got a few points. I'll keep them nice and crisp. Any elaborations, anybody, if you feel like having a discussion, feel free to reach out to any of us. Like Sarthak also mentioned, I believe as alumni, we owe it to IILM. An institute is only as strong as its alumni. Okay, so we are there. Reach out to us. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn and just drop in a note that you are from IILM. You'll have special attention. Two G's that I'd like to talk about. First is what I like to call glocalization. Okay, what COVID will make a lot of changes in strategies is that globalization will now be adapted with a flavor of local. So the catchment areas will be redefined as you get placed into organizations that will get redefined, and it's a lot to do with the evolving situation. Remember, organizations are also learning. Nobody has the perfect answer. So to your question, Ruchi, if you feel that the times are uncertain, it's uncertain for you. Yes, it's uncertain for everybody else out there also. Believe that things will be all right. And from experience, I can tell you that every time we seem to hit a roadblock, you just keep persistently at it, and you'll realize it breaks, something gives in, and you have a path forward. Almost always life works like that. Okay, so COVID or no COVID, you'll have opportunities, you'll have a good time. You're young, you're hopefully this is where you need to be, and it's fine. Figure it out, go out there, experiment, learn, uh, make a few mistakes. Okay, otherwise what's the point? If you always took the right decision, how would you know how to deal with a bad decision? At times that's more important.
True.
The other thing that I wanted to just highlight is embrace the gig economy. Okay, the world, corporates, individuals, everybody is embracing the gig economy. 72% of gigs have been actually placed by large corporates. So it's not just an SME or a startup phenomena, which is tuned to gig economies. Um, uh, be open to it. I'm not saying leave that for a regular job. No, but if opportunities come along your way, even with a regular job, take it. You may find new connects, you may find new networks. That's what life is all about. As you talk to people, keep always an attitude of how you can help. Okay, help will come your way. Never get into any networking discussion with the concept that what's in it for me. I can assure you it never goes down well. Always, if you carry the approach as to what you can contribute to that network, you'll realize the world is round. It always comes back to you. Okay, I think these are interesting times. These are unprecedented, no doubt about that. But you're also very well poised, because in all problems also lie opportunities, and that's a fact. That is not up for debate. So go out there, all the best. If you're nervous, it's okay, you're supposed to be. If you're anxious, it's okay, you're supposed to be. But it's natural. Okay, if you sculpt down and go on with it, things will be fine. That I can assure you. All the best, guys. It was a pleasure talking to all of you.
Thank you so much, Abhinav. That's so inspiring, But had you seen me making mistakes each day, you would have just told me to make lesser mistakes, like you said earlier. But nonetheless, going to Archie for her suggestion to the audience hooked on to this webinar.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, my suggestions are going to intertwine with Abhinav, as I cannot stress upon enough on networking. Literally, just guys, networking is the piece that you have to control right from now onwards. Just giving some examples, the last four jobs, including Sapient in India, that I found via LinkedIn and through networking. So please do not hesitate to be out there, guys. Definitely, take some sessions, look up on how professionals have put themselves up there on LinkedIn platform, how their profiles look like, what all things you need to put in there. Make it very, very crisp, professional. Put your accomplishments really standing out there. It's going to take you a long way if you really focus on networking. Also, be very opportunistic. Always think, that if there is an opportunity that is coming your way, think about it, that do you want to really entertain that, and definitely do consider those opportunities. And also always be more than your resume. You guys all know much more than the subjects you're studying at the moment. Keep it very original, and please take risks. I know COVID times are making us all anxious, stressed, and worried about jobs. But trust me when I say strong candidates never stay in the market for very long. So if you have the right social media presence, if you focus enough on, being out there, networking with individuals, I'm sure things are gonna work. Even during COVID times. So definitely stay strong and stay safe.
Thank you so much, Archie, for this note. And I don't know if your organization really keeps you awake till this hour, but I'm just thinking about it off. And thank you so much, Archie. Thank you so much, Abhinav, for being with us. Thank you so much, all of the ones who are anchored and tuned into this, webinar. I hope and trust this has been insightful and helps everyone chart out a new beginning for themselves. And with this note, you can always connect back, as our alumni have also mentioned. You can connect with them on LinkedIn. And if you have any queries, come back, connect to us, and have a great day. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Abhinav. Bye, Ruchi. Bye, guys.